Good afternoon, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. It's a great pleasure to have you all here. I think your being here is a sign that you've chosen to challenge some norm around you, in which case you're welcome. So today's meeting is in commemoration of the International Women's Day celebration and has our gracious host and brilliant speaker, Agbon Sigewe, sharing valuable insights on the topic thriving as a female in the marketing space. But before she takes over, here is what you may or may not know about her. Agbon Sigewe is a marketing communications professional and trainer with sub-specialty in digital marketing and brand strategy. In a nutshell, it means she helps brands create awareness, engage with prospects, and generate business leads using strategy, analytics, and technology. She has managed both local and international brands in the FMCG, telecommunications, oil and gas, banking, professional services, automobile, household, fast food, educational, and engineering sectors. She has garnered marketing experience in an interesting career spanning advertising, marketing strategy, and digital marketing with organizations like Insight Communications, One for One Worldwide, now Nitro One to One, the Workforce Group, Red Square Digital, and now Ziza Digital, where she currently serves as the general manager. Agbon holds an MBA in marketing, as well as several digital marketing certifications. Personally, I've had the honor of witnessing her do this thing at least 10 times now, but I'm excited for this one as I was the second time I heard her speak. Ladies, do kindly help welcome one of the hottest names in the world of digital marketing, Agbon Sigewe.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And huge for that glorious introduction. You actually caught me off guard. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see you here. Yemisi, Ife, Goodness, Nkechi, Lamiju, and all the other people who join us later. It's especially a privilege because I'm a woman, and happy International Women's Day to everyone here. And it's a great opportunity for us to actually witness this year's International Women's Day. And today we're going to be talking about thriving as a female in the marketing space. And I'm going to be sharing maybe what I call it nuggets from my years in the marketing field as well. And of course, those years span both the client and the agency side. And I particularly like this poem from, she's a writer. I don't know if a lot of you know her. And it says, I stand on the sacrifices of a million women before me, thinking, what can I do to make this mountain taller so the women after me can see further? So basically, this whole event, this whole webinar is about this point. How can I make the mountain taller so the women after me can see further? How can I help the women after me escape the mistakes that I made and, of course, thrive better than I am? So welcome once again, and I hope that you are inspired to pick one or two things from this today. And beyond the inspiration, I hope and I pray that you're able to put them into practice, because it's one thing to actually learn something and it's another thing to put it into practice. So the actual work, so it's like a diet, right? If you don't keep to it and if you don't consciously work on it, you lose it along the way. So looking at the marketing industry, it's actually very fast-paced. In the time when it will take us to finish this webinar, something new would have happened, a campaign would have been launched, maybe somebody would have said something about your brand on the internet and all of that. So it's fast-paced. It requires a lot from us. It requires a lot of skills. It requires us to be up 24/7 to be able to catch up and keep on. So for you to be in the marketing space, you have to have grit, you have to have excellent communication skills, you have to have strategic mindset, and above all of this, you have to have the courage to take the decisions when the time comes, the courage to take decisions and perhaps even know that you may be wrong, but that decision needs to be taken nonetheless, because not taking a decision, it's actually a decision in itself. Unfortunately, all of these skills are resident in women. So it's not as if a woman is born without any of these skills. A woman isn't born without grit. A woman isn't born without excellent communication skills, strategic mindset, and courage. We all have all of this in abundance when we were born, but we've been raised or socialized to kill these skills as we grow, or even lock them in. Don't display these skills because for some reasons it's not the societal norms. It's even worse for African women. So maybe for women who were raised out of Africa, they have some sort of slack. It's a bit easier, on them. But for African women, it's even actually worse. So they tell you, don't look people in the eye when you speak to them. It's a sign of disrespect. Don't be too loud. Women are supposed to be quiet. Women are supposed to be in the background. And they tell you, no, he's a man. You shouldn't talk to him like that. And this said man may even be your younger brother, but hey, he's a man. It doesn't matter that he's probably even younger, but you don't talk to him like that. And I'd like one person to share one of the things as well, one of something, anything familiar that you've been raised or socialized with. Who's willing to share? Who's willing to share? Anyone willing to share?
Okay, I'll share.
Go ahead.
So growing up, I was raised to think there are some chores that are male gender specific, others for female. So sometimes I'll tell my younger brother, "Oh, make this," and he says, "No, man, I'm not supposed to be in the kitchen." And things like that often made me wonder. But sometimes I also had to do chores that were not written to be female or male specific, but it was mixed. I think that this thing is not balanced. Some chores they say are for females, others are for male, but there's nothing pointing to it. Women are not better cooks. It's not in our DNA to do some of these chores, like be tailors.
Some of the best cooks in the world are actually males.
Actually, yes. It's beginning to correct itself in my house, thankfully, but that's one of it.
Okay, we've been raised and socialized to kill some of these skills in us. And then, of course, we go into the world of work and carry these stereotypical teachings and socializations with us. Some of these things we've been taught and we've been raised at, as they go with us, they begin to form like a part of our lives, sort of like a part of our character and what we know about ourselves. And so you find yourself that you're sometimes in a meeting and you have a fantastic idea. Of course, you're afraid to maybe voice it out because it may sound stupid, or you're in the meeting, or you probably, someone walks in, needs a seat because of the over politeness, and you want to be the one to get up for the person to sit. Now, this isn't wrong in itself. All of these things that we've been taught to be, they aren't wrong in themselves. But when you come to the world of work, it's a different thing entirely, and some things have to take a backseat. We need to consciously reorientate ourselves and push ourselves out of this girly and feminine way in which we have been raised. So all of these things that we've learned and socialized ourselves to be, they've helped us to undermine ourselves unconsciously. So you see that even before your colleague undermines you, you've practically undermined yourself because you already feel you're not able to do this. I'll leave it for the other folks to do, or I'll leave it for the male gender to do. Or sometimes we have some females who've been able to break free from this and they're able to come out to say, okay, I'll be able to do this. But for most people, say 70% of the females, we've gone into the world of work with the stereotypes we've been raised with, the stereotypes we've been socialized as, and then we've killed the very skills that the marketing industry requires. So all of those skills to speak up, all of those skills to have the courage, all of those skills to be able to represent yourself, have strategic ideas and all of that, we've killed it because we've been socialized to think that they are not things that the woman, the African woman, should have. And actually, these are the very things that make you excel in the marketing industry. So I'll be taking a look at the salient skills required to grow your marketing career. And this is especially important for people who have, say, between 1 to 5 years experience in marketing, and actually any other field at all, because they are like life skills. And they are things that people have taken into the world of work right from home, right from how they were raised. The first thing you need is that you need a strategic mindset. If anybody is going to get anything done in marketing, the person needs to be strategically minded. So while it's okay and it's nice to appear in a meeting all decked up, nice and all of that, when you open your mouth, you have to speak sense, you have to speak strategy. People have to understand that you're onions when they hear you speak. So while it's good to look good, and people need to see you beyond the looking good. So people shouldn't just say, for example, that Mary looks really good and all of that, but Mary's beauty, Mary's dress sense, Mary's perfume should be complemented with her strategic mindset and her strategic thinking and how she puts herself to work in the skills or in whatever meeting or wherever she is represented. The second one is present or die. I have worked with a lot of people who, and sadly a lot of females who have absolutely great skills. They're good technically, they know the job, but presentation is a problem. But guess what? While being good technically will get you on the job, if you're going to move up your career ladder, you need to know how to present. Otherwise, the person who didn't actually do the job will be the one who present your work and get credit for that work. So imagine if you work in a marketing agency, for example, there are lots of presentations that go on daily. There are the presentations that happen internally where you get to present your ideas before the team. Even presentation where you get to present things before management, and there are the presentations that go on before client, where you have to present maybe at client meetings, where you have to present at pitches. If you are not good at presenting, it's something that you need to learn. You can't tell yourself, oh, I'm good enough with the work. Oh, I'm a fantastic writer, but I can't present the work. So when they tell you come and present it at a pitch, you do not know how to present it at a pitch, or you shy away and you continue to hide. So you may spend 10, 15 years being a fantastic writer, but you may never get to management level. And sadly, I see often that there are a lot of, if you look at the bottom ranks, the rank and file, the people who actually do the groundwork, the legwork, there are a lot of females pushing the buttons, getting the hard work done. But when it comes to management level, when it comes to the point where these things have to go and be sold outside, presented to client, is the males that go do that, because we've killed our inner zeal or our inner confidence in ourselves to be able to present. Now, while presentation is not a gender thing, there are also some men who cannot present, but a lot of men will have that faith in themselves that, we'll rough it up, we'll wing it, we'll try it. But even the women who can will still doubt themselves even until they get to the place where they do make that presentation. There are things you have to put in place to be able to do this. First things you need to consciously work on it. It's not a skill that you are born with. It is a skill that you actually master and you actually learn. Right now I can present, but guess what? When I started my career as well, it was a big hurdle. In fact, there was a time at the meeting where I was asked to present, something for a client that I managed, and it was difficult. I kept repeating one thing over and over again. But imagine if I had taken that as a defeat and gone back in my, shell to say, okay, I'm not going to do this another time. But if I had done that, I would have gone back, to square one. But again, I realized that it was a problem and I needed to work on it. And I kept on working on it and working on it. And here today, I can present to basically any audience, no matter how highly placed they are. Now, if you're ever going to get to the management level, no matter how good you are at your technical skills under where you currently are now, you've got to learn how to present. There are different ways of learning how to present. One of them is to join the Toastmasters Club, where they actually groom you for groom you on presentation skills. Join the Toastmasters Club, and interestingly, they have lots and lots of Toastmasters clubs scattered around Lagos or wherever it is you may be located. Then another thing you can do is take on more presentation opportunities. You never know how much you can present until you're actually in front of the people presenting. So if you make a mistake once, don't beat yourself about it. Go back and master your skills and continue to learn how to present. Stand before the mirror and continue to practice what you are going to present. Prepare ahead, because it's not rocket science. It's something that if you prepare ahead and you have confidence in what you're going to say, it's something that you're going to be able to do. Master your body language. Number 3, master your body language. As females, our body language gives us away often. So sometimes you're saying something with your mouth, but your body language says something else. You're probably in a meeting and you have an idea, fantastic idea, because you're not even sure of yourself. You kill it with your body language. So you are saying something like, this is my suggestion on what I think we should do. But even the way you say it, your body language, the way you are seated, everything says that whatever suggestion you are giving should not be believed, should not be used, because your body language has sold you out. There are different types of communication. There's the unwritten, there's a vocal one, and the unvoiced communication. Your body language is an important part of your communication skills. How do you sit when you're in meetings? How do you sit when you're before clients? When you're presenting yourself, when you're presenting your ideas to your client, when you're presenting your ideas to your subordinates, how do you speak? How do you present yourself? Master your body language. The next one is to master your voice speech. So it's actually very funny when you're saying something very serious, but you're chuckling when you're saying it. or you are unsure of yourself and even your choice of words. So you say something like, actually, I'm just suggesting that maybe we could do it this way. So you've already defeated yourself right before the next person who's seated, who's going to pull down your suggestion. You've already said to him or said to her, this suggestion, I don't have faith in it, I don't believe in it. Your voice pitch, when each occasion requires a different voice pitch that matches the message you are delivering. The way you deliver, for example, the way you deliver a presentation to your client is different from the way you talk to your colleague in the office. These are all the different voice pitches. Sometimes when even our colleagues undermine us, is because of the way we present ourselves, the way our body language speaks, the way we pitch our voices. So for example, a male colleague probably puts his hand on your shoulder and you are trying to tell him, I don't appreciate you doing that. But you say it in such a way that he even jokes about it and undermines you. If I continue to do, what are you going to say? Imagine if you had pitched up your voice to say, seriously, with your body language and everything, you say, thank you, I appreciate that. You probably won't say, come close to me or something, but I don't appreciate you putting your hand on my shoulder. This is my space. I'd like to keep my space. You can actually say some things like that without being obnoxious, but still put your message across. So you need to consciously master your voice pitch. How do you speak at meetings? How do you present your ideas to the client? And if you're in marketing on the client side, how do you present your marketing ideas in your management meetings? Do you present them as if you're unsure of them, or do you present them as if your whole life depends on those ideas that you are sharing? So these are things that you need to consciously do, because when you were being raised, you were probably taught, I know women speak softly, women shouldn't raise their voices. And when I say raise your voices, I don't mean go into the meeting and be screaming, but say whatever you want to say assertively. There's a way you assertively say something without being cocky or without being proud. The next one is to own your success. Most people, as a woman, you've done something, you've done it very well, and they say, congratulations for this, and you are shying away. Oh, no, it's not actually me that gave it. Thank you for congratulating me or something. You don't own it to say, yes, this is my success. You can own something that you've done and take credit for it without being proud. The way you say to somebody, congratulations, you say, thank you. But you tell some people congratulations, and the way their body language, the way they shy about it, the way they shy away, they're even unable to answer, they're unable to own it, to say, yes, this is something that I have achieved, I'm proud of it, and all of that, and take that glory without being proud. But we tend to always shy away from it. And sometimes we say, it's Becky that helped me to do it. Of course, we acknowledge that Becky may have helped you, but you need to take ownership of the things that you have, the successes that you have worked for. The next one is that you need to speak up. So I find that sometimes you'll be at meetings, you are sitting with females who have fantastic ideas, but they are not able to air their views because they feel, or the thing keeps playing in your head. Oh, women are bred to speak softly, so to be at the back. So you consciously or you unconsciously keep your ideas to yourself, and you don't ever share your ideas. So the people who even will share their ideas sometimes don't even have ideas as great as you are, but you keep yours to yourself because you're afraid to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Even for those people who speak up, they can sometimes be wrong, but it's the way in which they've presented the ideas. So you can say, for example, I want us to do it this way. And with that confidence and all of that, even though they sometimes don't believe in themselves or believe in the ideas, but the way they've presented the ideas, you will believe in it. And also, when somebody is encroaching your space, you need to speak up. The idea of, I don't want to be wrong, I don't want people to hate me. You are not in the workplace to be liked. To be honest, you are not in the workplace to be liked. You are there to get things done, and you are there to air your voice. You are there to actually put in the work. You are there to actually also play your part. You can't keep inconveniencing yourself to make people comfortable, to say, okay, you come to the office and they've moved your desk. Maybe they moved your desk to make way for someone else who is not supposed to be seated in that place. And you have a right to ask, why has my desk been moved? But you say, okay, let me just manage it, or let me just be here for a while. or that they're probably giving everybody a raise and you were singled out. So you can't speak up, you can't meet HR to say, is there something I have done wrong? Is there a reason why I've been passed over? These are some of the things that we need to consciously learn, because we have been socialized as a people to to put ourselves at the back. So you see consciously, if in the house, being raised as an African person or as an African woman, everybody has to go first. Everybody has to do their own first before you put yourself. But you need to learn how to speak up if you are going to thrive in the marketing industry. Number 7, you need to play the game. We sometimes treat events as if we sometimes treat the marketing space as if it's a concert or it's an event. You are there to be liked. You are there to uh, socialize, get people to like you, and all of those. You are not there to socialize. You are not there to get people to like you. It's a place where it's a game, and everybody is there to play the game. While it's important to get your job done, you also need to know what's happening politically. You don't say, oh no, I don't play the politics of the game. There's politics, everywhere. It's just more subtle in some areas and louder in some areas. Anywhere you find yourself, you have to be in the place. It is not the time where you say, I'll just do my 9 to 5, and then when we close, we go home. You don't know what's happening in the office, on the organization where you are. You don't know things that are, being done and all of that. You don't even, you just, I'm here to do my work, and you just do your work and you go home. Nobody ever grows like that in any organization. You have to put in the work. You have to be in the organization, be in and really be in. So you do your 9 to 5 job, but you also know what else is happening. You play the game. If you are asked to volunteer for something, you volunteer. You don't always put yourself in the back place to say, I won't be able to take this. So let me give you an example. Gift volunteered to be the anchor for this event. Imagine if she had said, oh, I'm not sure if I can do it, but we need to always speak up. I asked a question earlier, who's going to share with us some of the ideas or some of the socializations that they were raised with, and then everybody sat at the back. Nobody was, let me not use the word bold, but nobody could actually come out to say, these are some of the things. And we all know these things. These are things that we live with. These are things that are with us every day. And we also actually experience it when we work with other females. You are shy, you don't want to speak about it, you don't want to come up, you don't want to say anything, you just want to be in the background. Let me just listen and leave. But of course, you listen and leave. But what have you learned? What have you gained? How have you impacted the place where you've been? You never leave a place unimpacted. You never actually leave a workplace unimpacted. If you work with a client, don't leave them unimpacted. If you work in an organization, don't leave them unimpacted. So if somebody, for example, works with you, what is the one thing that the person will take away beyond the fact that you dress well, beyond the fact that you look good, beyond the fact that you use fantastic perfume? What else will the person be able to say about you? If I say, for example, now, can somebody unmute their microphone and tell me in 30 seconds how they bring value to the organization where they currently work? Unmute your microphone and tell us, how do you bring value to the place where you currently work?
I try to cultivate personal relationships with the client so that they actually feel like they are being listened to, as opposed to just another customer that we make money from, which
Fantastic.
a lot of people in my team do not do rather.
Fantastic. Thanks. Ife, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes we don't prepare for these things, but these are the things that they will ask us without preparations. You know what it calls an elevation pitch, where you meet someone and person says, what are some of the things, or how do you bring value to your organization? You also have to know that these are conversation starters. So you meet someone at an event, most of the females will shy away, or you go for an office board meeting, or you go for an office conference, you don't meet anybody except the people you come with. So let's say, for example, your office has a branch in Nigeria, maybe a branch in Abuja, a branch in Port Harcourt, a branch in Lagos, and then there's the annual conference, for example, where you get to meet people. And you only talk to the people who you came with from the office. You don't meet any other person. You don't walk up to them to introduce yourself. These are things that men will do easily. And you say, men agree with themselves a lot. Men play with themselves. They're able to penetrate anything. These are things that women can also do, if only we haven't just been raised to say, stay on your lane. But really, life is about relationships. Life is about people. You never can really grow by staying on your lane. It is actually never done. So now is the time where you come out of your shell to play the game. You shouldn't go for a conference and not meet people. You shouldn't be even at any event at all and not walk up to somebody to say hello, and this is who I am, this is how I bring value to the table, and all of that. So we must consciously walk and come out of the shell where we've currently tied ourselves in. And in doing this, sometimes you will say that it widens, it helps build your confidence, it widens your space. It also helps people to know what you can do. For example, some of the people grinding and getting the work done in the organizations may never be known, may never be recognized, because nobody knows who they are. They never actually play, they are never actually in the organization in terms of what's happening in the organization. They stick with, I just want to do my job or get my job done, and they go. And then somebody else presents that work that they've done because they say, no, I don't want to go for that conference. Oh no, I don't want to go for that meeting. I'm shy. I don't want to speak up at the meeting. So somebody else go present the work. The work is great. They clap, but they don't ask who did the work or who did the job. The work is fantastic. They clap for the person who has presented it. They implement it. They may never even know that you actually did it. And sometimes volunteering for some of these things may take you out of your comfort zone. Fantastic. Nobody ever grows in their comfort zone. So there's a saying I like so much, which says that the ship is built for the harbor. The ship is safe for the harbor, but that's not where the ship is meant to be. So it's fantastic for the ship to be in the harbor, no challenges. Even if there are tidal waves, the ship will be fine and all of that. If a ship is continuously being bettered, at the harbor for 10 years, 15 years, what's the point of having the ship? The ship would have never learned. You would never have known the value or what the ship would have been able to do. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to break that genes. You need to break that ideology that you've been socialized with, that you've been raised with. And it's very loud here in Africa, but it's something that we don't pay attention to. Or maybe we pay attention to it, but because it's what we know, like we've never known anything better, we've never known anything else, we then become comfortable in our skin and we just want to remain here. Number 8, you need to invest in knowledge. So typically, if you ask someone, what will a woman be watching by 8 p.m., the person is quick to tell you Z World, Bollywood, those kind of things. What's this other one? The Mexican soap and all of that, because it's how society sees us, and it's how a lot of us are actually. But we haven't taken that step to invest in knowledge. So we say the days are tough. I have children to battle with. I have families to battle with, and all of that, in addition to work. But trust me, the marketing world moves so fast that if you do not keep up, you'll be outdated in months, in a matter of months, not even in years. Is too long in the marketing space. If you don't keep up, you'll be outdated in a matter of months. And if you don't add value, right, beyond how you were when you were employed, you are never going to climb up to the next stage, because what got you here won't take you to the next stage. You have to constantly add value to how you were. Fantastic that technology has come on. So if you don't have time to sit down and open a book and read, you can listen to audiobooks while you are driving to work, on your way, put it on your phone and just put your earphones in your ear. But you need to invest in knowledge. You need to take time to learn something new every day. The industry is forever expanding. When I started out in marketing, there was no such thing as digital marketing. It was just, in fact, when I started out, I actually first started out coding, and I learned how to code with Fortran, DBase, C++, QBasic. Nobody uses QBasic anymore. Now everybody uses Python, CSS, and all. So if I had remained where I was then, where would I be now? Then when I moved on from coding and entered marketing, I started in a traditional advertising agency. But again, things have moved. Now, for most organizations, if they're going to hire anybody, even on the client side, they need somebody who has a knowledge of digital marketing. So even though you are not a guru, you are not a fantastic writer, but you have to have an idea of what's happening. You have to have an idea of where the trend is going. And you're not going to be able to do that with the knowledge you learned in school. In fact, sadly, 60% of the things you learned in school, you probably never use in real life, because by the time you come to life, things change, things move at the speed of light. at the speed of life. It's okay to have fancy weaves, it's okay to have fancy clothing and all of that, but you must invest in knowledge. It's the only thing that's going to separate you from separate the wheat from the chaff. So if you are invited to the boardroom, will you have enough knowledge to match your looks? Do you have enough skills to match your looks? You must constantly learn new things. You must constantly invest in yourself. Sometimes these things are difficult. You say, okay, I have family, I will not be able to cope. You must know where to draw the line in terms of what you're supposed to do, right? So people say, oh no, I don't need help in my home. I want to do everything by myself. You only end up killing yourself and then leaving out some of the things that are important for you to do. For example, cleaning may not be a yardstick for measuring whether you're a good wife or a good mom. Let someone else do the cleaning. Why you use the time for something else? Time is money. Is more important. You're never gonna get time back, right? You always be able to get more money, but you never be able to get more time. So you need to know what's important for you. You need to know what's priority. And for those who aren't married, great, you're in luck. You still have the opportunity to choose a spouse who will support you in some of the things that you do. I usually tell, this is not a marriage class, but I'll tell you that being a female, half the career decision you will take is in who you are going to marry. Half the career decision you take in your life is your decision on who you are going to marry. Now, right? If you take that, if you probably make the mistake and marry the wrong person, you are going to be in a rat race for the rest of your life trying to catch up with your career. So imagine if you have a spouse who doesn't support you and then you tell your spouse, we have a pitch this Saturday. Like, what's that? I don't even, it's not my business. They pay you to work 9 to 5. So you should be at work 9 to 5. And then you can't be there on Saturday or whatever day or whatever other time you are needed when it's a special. I understand that you can't be at work all Saturdays and all Sundays, but there will be time when it's important that most decisions need to be made, or you need to actually be there to present your work, or you need to be there for something very important. You need the home front to be supportive. You can have supportive family members. For some people, they have parents who can quickly come look after their children when they need it, when they need to travel or when they need to do stuff. I remember one time I needed to travel urgently for a conference at work, and on short notice, one phone call, my mom is there to help look after my child until I'm back. So you need the supportive system to be able to do this. If you're going to invest in knowledge, you need the supportive system. For example, if you're going to take the CIM, right, the Chartered Institute of Marketing exams, you will need to do your lectures on Saturdays. You need someone to look after, your children if you've got some, and you need a supportive spouse who's going to understand that you need some of these things to be able to grow in your career. So if you haven't taken that decision yet if you're not married yet, who you marry is going to be like 50% of your career path, except of course you're not interested in growing. You just want to be anywhere, take salary at the end of the month and go home. But if you're interested in climbing to the top, because there are a lot of women but that as you climb higher, a lot of them drop on the ladder scale. When I started my career, there were lots of females who were with us when we started, but a lot of them have dropped off. Some of them dropped off because their spouses said, we need somebody to be home full time to look after the children. Some of them dropped off because they couldn't cope with the grind, because some have spouses who say, no, I only eat soup that you have to make every day. You can't make my soup and put it in the freezer. So for those kind of people who've taken those decisions, it's going to be difficult for them to move further. So if you are in that space where you haven't taken that decision yet, you take a deep look before you take that step. Number 9 is to get a mentor. As much as people trivialize mentorship, it is an absolutely fantastic thing. You really need to get a mentor. You cannot live life, as if you are on your own, right? Nobody is actually on their own. And even your mentors have mentors. I have people that I mentor. I also have my own mentors, because sometimes you get to a point where you don't have to make the same mistakes that this person has made. You need to take it a step further and learn from other people's experiences, right? So you don't have to make all of the mistakes. You can learn from the mistakes that other people have made. Your mentors in front of you, or sometimes you only see in parts, right? You don't see the big picture. You don't know where this decision is going to take you, but you need to consult someone who's been there, who's done that, who can guide you to say, decision, I see this, I see that, I see that. Now, don't get it wrong. Your mentor doesn't actually take the decisions for you. Your mentor doesn't take over your life, but he or she is able to show you, if you take the decision, you may encounter A, B, C. So you know what you're getting into from the day one. If you take decision B, you may encounter E, D, F. based on their experiences, based on what they've known and where they've been, they advise you, say, okay, these are the possible chances that I see. And then you weigh your chances, right? Am I going to be okay with decision B? Am I going to be okay with decision C? You still take your decision, but you have more information on where it is likely to land you. And some people say, oh, why do I need to get a mentor? My mentor, I've not seen anybody who's fantastic or who is great. Your mentor may not have everything. In fact, you can have more than one mentor, right? So you can have a mentor in your area of specialty. I'm in marketing, I need a marketing mentor. My mentor may not be a Christian, so I may not be taking the Christian part or the religious part of my life from my mentor. I'm just focused on the marketing part of my life, which is the career part of my life. My mentor may not even be married, so I may not even be taking the marital part of my life from my mentor, but I focus on the specific thing that the mentor has that he or she can give me. And of course, your mentor doesn't necessarily have to be a female. The fact that this is the International Women's Day and we're talking about thriving in the workplace, your mentor doesn't necessarily have to be female. He can be a male and have something to give. He can be a male who understands the challenges that you're facing and is able to actually help you out. So you must get a mentor, somebody who takes you, who holds your hand on the journey to where you are going to. Marketing is also very wide. You need to tell yourself earlier on, what do I want to be known as? Marketing is broad. There's the strategy part of it. There's the advertising, there's public relations, there's digital, there's experiential. It is actually very broad. And there's even the marketing strategy part where you have to, if you work on the client side, you have to understand the pricing strategy. You have to understand the target segmentation, product development, introduction of product into the market, research. It's actually very broad. But you have to tell yourself, you can't be a generalist. You can't be everything to everybody. You have to tell yourself, this is where I want to be. And then work towards being a guru in that place where you have, in that area where you have picked. So you say, for example, these are my 10-year goals of, okay, I want to be, maybe you say, I want to be a brand strategist, for example. Then you say, which brand strategist can I pick as my mentor? You pick a brand strategist as my mentor and have conversations with that person. What are some of the things that you have done to be able to get to where you are currently? What are some of the things you think I can do? And when you have a mentor, you also need to bring value to the table of that mentor. I'll give you an example. I have one excellent mentor who sends her. So he's not the only mentor I have. I have several mentors. He sends me, sometimes he sees opportunities online and he sends them to me. So he says, have you seen this article? It's actually very nice. And it talks about something I think is something you may be interested in. He sends it to me to read. So I may have even gone through the net that day and not come upon that article, but he adds value. So he's not only taking, he's actually also giving. So he's not necessarily giving money, but he's giving value in other ways. He sees a book he thinks I like, and he says, I think that this is a book that will bring value to you that you should read. Now, these are ways that you also add value to the life of your mentor. So it's not a one-way thing. It's actually a double-edged sword. Sometimes I write my articles and I send it to him and I said, help review this article. Not necessarily because what's in the article is not nice, but I want a second eye to look at it. I want a second person to review and see perhaps some of the things I could have written better, some of the things I could have changed. And sometimes he brings a younger perspective to it to say, okay, some of the things I may not even know based on his demographics, he brings that perspective into it. So we all need that someone who will walk side by side with us as we go. And then again, you need to have goals. What do I want to be as a person? I like Jim Rohn. Of course, he's long dead, but I still listen to his tapes even till tomorrow. And he says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. What do you bring to the table? Now, when you say, I need that promotion, all of this, you need to speak up, you need to have a strategic mindset, you need to have this. They will be empty if you do not have anything inside you to give. Before you pour out something, you have to have something in you that you need to pour out, right? So you have to have personal goals. You have to tell yourself, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? Even your personal branding, if I were to meet you on the street and I say to you, who are you? Introduce yourself to me in 1 minute without mentioning where you work. How would you introduce yourself? I need a volunteer. Go on, Yemisi, but your microphone is still muted. So
sorry. Okay, so Everyone, I work in a self-employed. I'm a jovial person. I'm a very hard worker. I don't take no for an answer. I am very self-driven, meaning that even when things seem very much impossible to everyone, no matter what, I keep at it. And once I have a goal, I don't rest, I don't stop until I achieve.
Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate this. And for everybody, you need to sit down and write your elevator pitch. If I were to meet you somewhere, and you have to always have at the back of your mind that you will meet someone somewhere where you require an introduction of yourself. And where you work does not define you. So I often meet people who say, hi, what do you do? My name is Agbons. I work as Ziza, right? That's not an introduction. That's not who you are. When I introduce myself, I said to you, marketing communications practitioner, and I have subspecialty in digital marketing and brand strategy. I haven't told you I work as Ziza, which means that if you need someone to help you with your brand strategy and digital marketing, I can help you. I haven't said I work as Ziza. For some people, it's where they work that defines them. So what if you do not work there tomorrow? So it brings your self-confidence down. Some people, you meet them and say, I'm an ex-staff of KPMG. Yes, you used to work at KPMG. You no longer work at KPMG. Who are you besides working at KPMG? So these are some of the things you need to tell yourself. And they don't happen by accident. You have to sit down and work on it. I sat down and worked on myself for a long period of time because I sat down someday and I realized that these are some of the things that that we unconsciously do to sabotage ourselves. There are things that we unconsciously do that weigh us down. So we say, I wasn't nominated for to go for X, Y, and Z. Because all of the times they've called for volunteer, you've always said it wasn't convenient for you. So when the nominations come, they pass you over. So it's not going to be convenient for her this time. So these are some of the things you need to work on. What is your elevator pitch? If you were to meet someone at a conference, what would you tell the person? If you are to grow in this career, you need to be a sociable person. You need to socialize. You don't wait until somebody says hi before you say hi. You have to take the word to them, right? You have to be the one who's upfront. And it doesn't mean that you have to be loud. Loud is a different thing entirely. But when you are in a place and you're able to, introduce yourself, when you're in a place and you're able to tell yourself who you are, or you're able to say who you are and what value you bring to the table. Some of us can't even go to our HR to ask for a raise. Do you know why? Because if we get an HR says, for example, why should I give you a raise? We don't even have answers to that question. If I ask you now, what value do you bring? If you come to me and say, as your boss and say, I want a raise, I think that I'm due for one or something, and I ask you, why should I give you a raise? Because I'm not just going to give you a raise for the sake of giving you a raise, right? I'm going to ask you, why should I give you a raise? And you have to understand that you have to bring value to the table. Another thing we do consciously that, brings us down is that we take our privileges and misuse and we abuse our privileges. That's the word. We abuse our privileges. So sometimes you see when you have women who are pregnant in your organization and you say, oh, you can take maybe Mondays for maternity leave, and the person takes Monday for maternity leave and the person doesn't come on Tuesday and doesn't come on Wednesday and says, the doctor says I should rest. And in truth, there are people who may be really sick, not be able to come, right? But there are a lot more people who takes this as an excuse and they abuse that privilege. So when somebody else now comes and the person wants to employ, say, no, I don't want to employ any woman, please, because they take 3 days off, because that's the experience that the person has had. So what if the person has trusted you with the privilege to say, okay, take Monday for your maternity leave, and you go for your maternity, take Monday for your maternity, what's it called, antenatal, and you go for your antenatal, you finish, maybe you finish at 11, you finish at 12, and still come to the office. That person who you work with will not be afraid to hire another woman, because the person has already seen that you haven't abused your privilege. So for every time you abuse your privilege, you lock the way or you block the way for the women who are coming behind you. And I'll take that again. For every time you abuse the privilege that you have been granted as a woman, you block the way for another woman who's coming behind you. So you say, oh, I have menstrual pain, I need to take a break, and you take a break and you don't come back from the break, or you take a break and you don't come back in 1 week simply because you have menstrual pain. So the man who works with you begins to think, if I hire another female, this is how this person is going to treat my job. Again, because of how society or how the work culture, because we keep preaching inclusiveness, he doesn't want to voice it out. That's his challenge. He doesn't want to say, for example, you shouldn't have taken 7 days, because the other people listening will say, you don't know that she has this and she has that. He then makes a mental note that I'm never going to hire another woman again. So when we abuse our privileges, we need to take these things into consideration. And I've had my children as well. I have 2 children, and I don't use them as an excuse. When they really need my attention, they need my attention, but I don't use them as an excuse when really there's nothing, to do. If you keep using some of these female privileges to get away with what you're doing, it will tell on even your future chances. Because then if an opportunity comes, for example, for the company to say, we have challenges, we need to lay off 10 people, trust me, you'll be one of the first to go, because you haven't showed over time that you can go out of your way to do things, or you've given them the opportunity to say, this person doesn't have value to bring to the table. These are some of the things that actually affect, that people generalize, and then they bring all sorts of excuses why they cannot be of value or why they cannot help us thrive as females. So some of these things you've heard, and you go back to your daily work, right? You go back to how you live your life daily, it doesn't help you. You now need to ask yourself, what roadmap do I need to put in place to thrive as a young female in my career? What roadmap do I need to put in place as a young female as my career? Where am I even going? If you don't know where you're going, you won't even know when you've arrived at that destination. Trust me. If you do not know where you're going, you won't even know when you've arrived at that destination. So it's important to sit down and have frank conversations with yourself. Where am I going? What do I want to be? Do I want to be the chief marketing officer of this organization? Or do I want to be the chief? You may not box yourself to say, I want to be the chief marketing officer of XYZ organization, or I want to be the client service director of this agency where I currently work. But you can tell yourself, for example, I want to be the MD of a Fortune 500 company in 10 years or in 15 years. And now that you know that you want to be the MD of a Fortune 500, because it's possible, anything is possible. Knowing that you want to be the MD of a Fortune 500 company, you then need to ask yourself, what are the skills that I need to take on that job, right? See yourself, visualize yourself as the MD of a Fortune 500 company, and then ask yourself, what are the things that they have? What are the skill sets that they have? What are the things that I need to put in place? Above your technical skills, your social skills are very important. They are very important. In fact, while your technical skills will get you the entry-level job, your social skills will get you the job at the top. You know why? Because at the top, they don't require you to actually do the technical work. They require you to have an overview based on your past experience, but they don't actually require you to do the job. They actually require your social skills to be able to build social equity for the organization, build social rapport for the organization, be able to manage people, be able to do some of the things that will oil the wheels, not necessarily even do the actual work at the ground level. What are you doing to build these skills? And interestingly, these are some of the skills that our African socialization has taken away from us. We have them. We were not like we don't have them, or that because we're females, we don't have them, but we've been socialized to play them down. We've been socialized to take them out. We've been socialized to lock them in. What are you doing to consciously bring them out? How are you going to help yourself to be able to speak at the next meeting where you will be? How are you going to help yourself to be able to master your emotions? Crying in the office, somebody talks to you and you start crying. That's a no-no. No matter how difficult or how hard or whatever things may be, you have to master your emotions. Master your emotions. It's the first stage to anywhere you're going. You are going to meet people who will sabotage you. You are going to meet people who will double cross you. You are going to meet people who will do all sorts of things. Even your seatmate, the person who sits next to you in your office, who's your go-to person and all of that. You've got to master your emotions. And then you've got to also learn to read between the lines. Sometimes when people tell you that this is this, right? Because women are trusting. We have that natural, what's it called? We have the natural empathy in us. We have the natural sense of trust. We trust people. When somebody tells you it's 10 naira, read between the lines. It's not always 10 naira. They sometimes mean something else. And we tend to take people at face value. I'm not saying that everybody who you come across is lying to you, but you need to understand that in the world of work, it is a game. And when you play strategy, when you are a strategist, you need to understand that the fact that this pawn in this chess game moved in the right direction does not mean that's where the pawn is going. The pawn is actually preparing for what he wants to do. That's just a step to divert your attention. The pawn is going somewhere else. If you do not play any game, take on a game. Spend less time on Z World, spend less time on Bollywood, spend less time on, I don't know, I can't remember that Mexican soap TV station, but spend less time on those stations and take on a game. I like military strategy, and it's something that I study from time to time. It is something that you will learn from. You need to take the hard stuff. People say, oh, no, leave the soft stuff for the women and leave the hard stuff for the men. It's not a gender war. And if you notice the discussion we've had, we're not against the male gender. So people keep thinking, it's against the male gender, we'll pull them down. No, the sky is actually wide enough for all of us to thrive. You don't have to step on the male gender to be able to climb, or you can equally thrive. When they are considering the next person for that role, they should be able to consider you based on your strategic mindset, based on all the things you can offer, and not your beautiful face and how you dress well and all of that. So some people sink into a meeting. When they come in, the perfume comes with them, they look beautiful, but they are not able to say anything of value at that meeting. What do you bring to the table? And don't think that somebody is going to sit down and let you take it. Power is not served a la carte. You've got to take it. That destination you are going to is not served a la carte. Nobody's going to wait for you to take it or hand it to you on a platter of gold. You have to work for it, and you have to take it. And of course, this will come along the way, which is why you must master your emotions. You must master your emotions in taking the bull by the horn and thriving in the marketing world. Marketing is interesting, super interesting. I've been in the industry 14 years and counting. Every day I love the industry, and I'm happy I'm here. And I actually wanted to read law in the university, and I tell myself often that it's a good thing I didn't. I would have been bored. No offense, lawyers, I'm so sorry. It's a fantastic profession you have you have there. I love marketing, and anybody can be anything in the marketing world only if you are prepared to take the grit, to display the courage, to take on the strategic mindset, and of course, your excellent communication skills. Thank you, everyone. I'll take questions and comments and whatever conversations you'd like to add.
Thank you very much, Bones. We'll take questions now. So I see somebody, Bola has dropped a question. So Bola, if you're still here, please unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this wonderful, wonderful discussion. I totally enjoyed it. I had to log out of another session to join, and I'm glad I didn't regret it. Yes. So I just want to know, because I have been in the industry and I was out of the industry, so I'm back again in the industry. So I'm just picking up back where I left, not where I left it, because I focused more on digital marketing. So I'm back as a marketing comms person. I know I've reached out to Advance on one or two things, and sincerely, she's been very helpful. Now, books to read, direction, materials to get. I know everybody will say go to Google, but I always like to be specific. I always like, okay, so and so, you could go to LinkedIn, you could follow this person, you could follow this discussion, and you get what you want, because time is of essence. I can't be going round and around trying to get content when I know that, okay, I can have somebody who has more experience than I do and will point me in a particular direction. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. What I'm going to do is, so we'll send a follow-up mail after this, and we'll send you at least top 5 books you should read. Now, maybe we'll make it 10. So we'll have 5 on personal development as a woman, and we'll have 5 on building yourself in marketing. Hello, Bala. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
So on developing yourself as a woman, one of the most fantastic book I like on developing yourself as a woman is a book called Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. So I'll send that to you. And it's a book that will open your eyes to some of these things that you've unconsciously done to actually sabotage yourself over time.
Yes, thank you very much. Don't worry, I'm following you on all social media. But I thank you for there's one thing for you to have knowledge. There's another thing for you to be able to give out knowledge. So for you to be able to give out knowledge,
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Go
sure.
ahead. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the informative class. I was practically being knocked off and on for network reasons. Please, I was asking, is it possible to get the slides for the class?
Sure. We'll send the slides and we'll send the video as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, thank you, everyone. I can see a lot of... Go ahead.
Oh, hi.
Go ahead.
I really enjoyed this session as well. It was really enlightening, and I think it was more of a reassurance for me that I'm actually going down the right path in terms of women in the industry in whatever field. And I'm really appreciative for this. You literally gave us something that most people pay for on a platform.
Thank you. I can see a few men here. Would you like to say something? I can see a few men here. Notik Bello, would you like to say something? I can see a few men.
I think I'm just listening to the message and everything, and I feel like it's applicable to everybody. The bit about knowing how to describe yourself, for example, a lot of people have this thing about when they try to describe what they do in marketing, they call themselves marketing communication experts and marketing communications, all those corporate communications, whereas this thing is more fragmented than that. So you have to pick a special so that people know. Although so much about marketing, so you probably know so much about brand strategy too, but they should know you for one thing so that when people mention that opportunity, they can call you directly. So it's better to understand the roles. As you mentioned, if you are a brand strategist, it's better to say that you're a brand strategist than to go for the one that seems big, that appears big to people and communicate some level of importance to you. Me, for example, I take it as a note that when I see people with headlines like marketing communications experts, it means that they are not in the industry yet. So that means don't engage. And I can say, for example, if I see an art director, I know that, okay, this is what it does. But a marketing communications person, for a marketing communications expert, I don't know what you do. So it's important.
You're probably in client service.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I really agree with that. And it's something that
in which case you could have said brand manager.
Yeah. Or the other roles that are there, maybe a public relations officer or something. Just nail it. Go announce your specific role instead of deviating. I believe that's something.
And how you bring value.
Yeah, and how you bring value to, and as well as the part where women should always try to come out and speak out for themselves, right? It doesn't sound well when they call people in the office and say that, oh, when they call people in the office and the only time women stand up, or the only thing that comes to mind when they call people in the office is for women to go organize office lunch for everybody. That's not nice. So it's better at least themselves, women should position themselves better and also fight that, because it's not easy. You can't fight people's perception when primarily they assume that you're not supposed to be there, but you have to be fighting. The most successful women in this life, they didn't get there by being nice. So as you mentioned, they have to fight every time. You can't be the nice person, be the bad person that all of them can do. So it's something that everyone should learn. Even as a man myself, I'm learning that I can't be nice to my fellow colleagues when the quality of the work they do affects the quality of mine. We are all there to support each other. The outcome of the output is your own output influences the perception of my own output. Likewise, my own output does influence your own too. So it's like a teamwork, and you can't be nice when someone is trying to drop the ball. You have to make sure that you come and make sure that people know that it's not your own. You can't take responsibility for it because you didn't cause that. So women shouldn't be taking blame like that. It shouldn't. I have to use shouldn't because that's how it should be. The way it is now, it's an age-long practice. People can't easily say they want to let that go. So generally, women should fight for it. And where we can change that, I promise to always be speaking up whenever I can in the face of that kind of thing, because people tend to be able to speak up better when they know that someone has got their back. And I'll try to do that for my female friends and any female folk all around. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Notik. I'm very pleased. It's a good thing I actually called you to speak, because a lot of men actually think it's a battle between it's a battle male versus female. No, it's not a battle. We can all thrive without anybody stepping on the other person. And I like the part you raised about office lunch. And it was something I actually noted that I was going to talk about, but because of time, I skipped it. You are not their mother in the office, right? You are not their mother, you're their colleague. So you shouldn't be the one organizing lunch all the time. And I always say that cooking is a life skill and everybody should know how to cook. So the fact that you're the female in a group doesn't mean you should be the one to organize lunch all the time. And then when they say, who's going to be the leader? The male, they pick the male as the leader. Who's going to organize lunch? Everybody automatically thinks it's the female that should organize lunch. It's not your duty to organize lunch. You are as equal as everyone in the at everyone in the committee. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention is that when we were raised, they keep telling you the man is the head, right? The only man who is the head is the husband you married at home. Outside the house, your male colleague is not the head. It's something you must drum into your head every day. The man who is the head, as the Bible says and as our culture says, is the man who married you. You see that man in the office, he's not the head, he's your colleague. And you are as entitled as what he's entitled to as anything. So you need to take it out into your head where they say, you're in a committee and they say, choose the leader. Everybody automatically assumes the leader should be the man. It is just an unconscious bias. And that's not to say the man is not qualified to be there, but you can't be there as a woman too. You're not automatically the welfare officer. I hate that. When I was in school, I was in politics. I don't contest for those welfare officers. When I go, is either I contest as president or vice president. No one else. I'm not going to be the secretary. I'm not going to be the welfare officer. It's not my job to organize food for people. So we must note this unconscious bias. Yemi has something to say, but before Yemi see, I think him to talk to us before Yemi see. And Yekan, are you still there? Okay, Yemi see, go ahead. I can see your hand is raised.
So I just wanted to actually clarify something in regards to what we spoke right now. So I've noticed this trend whereby, like you were saying earlier on, ladies see opportunities given to them as, they take it for granted more or less. So you have in the workplace, they tend to be lazy and they don't want to take their job seriously. And I've seen this thing being done time and time over and over again. And exactly like you said, it doesn't paint a good image for a number of us. And I want to explain to my own personal mentality. I actually run a startup bakery here in Lagos, but I'm looking to hire staff soon. And I think actually in my mind, mentally, I had already put things in my mind that I am not going to hire a lady because of the kind of women I have actually dealt with before. They tend to be lazy. They don't want to have majority in all sincerity. But I think my main question would be, how do we actually encourage each other? We're talking about women empowerment rather. How do we actually encourage our fellow women that are actually being all laid back? Because at times I've tried speaking to people like, oh, you can do better, you can do this, but it has either created or actually severed a relationship. So what's the best way to actually?
Okay, so basically you keep doing what you can do for the people who know the value. And trust me, not everybody who saw this webinar what's it called, register to join or even join. Some register to join, but they didn't actually join. So you have to understand that it's like a farmer who sows the seed, right? So all the seeds are good, which is the seed here represents the information that you have to share or the mentorship that you have to give them. The seeds, all the seeds are good. So as he's sowing them, some fall on the very great soil and they grow. Some fall on the bad soil and they wither out and they don't grow. Some fall out of the farming area. They fall on the hard rock and they don't grow. So everything is not about you. If anybody's going to take, it's just like taking a horse to the river. So you can, all you can do is take a horse to the river, but you can't force the horse to actually drink water when you get there. So you try as much as possible to do what you can do.
Yeah.
Part of this webinar we're doing is also part of that. And not everybody who attended is going to implement it. Some people are going to go back to the old lifestyle they've been used to. And then 10 years down the line, they look back and say, I've just been here, I've not achieved anything. Of course, you're not. If you continue on the path that you are right now, and it's a question that we should all ask ourselves, and it's a question that I ask myself every year. If I continue on the path that I am right now, where would I be in the next 10 years? Whether we like it or not, the next 10 years we will arrive. But where? The question is where. So you do your bit and you sow the seed. Maybe some of them will grow, not all of them will grow, some of them will grow. But if you are able to raise 2 women and put them on the right path, and they are able to raise another 2, that's a tribe growing. You don't have to grow everybody. You can't possibly grow everybody. Anyekan, are you still here? You're welcome. Anyekan, and I was going to add here, Missy, so you can still throw it open and keep an open mind. So if it's a female, you hire, fine. If it's a male, you hire, fine. Hire fast and fire fast. So if the female comes and the female doesn't pull her weight, she can go without any fear of favor or the fact that she's a female. And if you treat people on the merit of what they can offer, not on the merit of, don't remove some people strictly because they're already female, you just assume they're not going to do well. No, still give them that open hand. But if they do great, fantastic. But if they don't, fire them. It's not, the workplace is not it's not for socializing. I always tell my class, it's not a team. I'm here for work. Get it done. I don't care if you're a male. Norma Betide. Hi, Norma.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, Norma. You can go ahead and speak. So to everyone, Norma is my friend. She's my alma mater from secondary school 23 or 24 years ago. Hi, Norma. Your microphone is muted. Your microphone is muted.
Oh, okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. In line with what Agbon said, that's why I'm actually coming on. You mentioned something about not attending a seminar and not living there without making contact. So I decided to speak up. And I know most people here are mostly in the corporate environment, as in people that work, like from the conversations where I still gained a whole lot, even as an entrepreneur, because we are just marketers. We still need to market our goods and all that. So I picked up things that I can apply to my business privately from this webinar. I just want to commend you for doing a great job and to say I actually and thoroughly enjoyed my time here. And I have great nuggets that I picked from here. More about reading, self-development and all that. I picked that then. Trying the other part you said about not leaving it. When you get to a place, make sure you make contact with someone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Make sure you make contacts and not just live there, because there are actually times I go for like seminars, and after the presentation, I hurriedly just leave. And when I get to my car, I'm like, Norma, yeah, you gain something from the speaker and all that, but you could have done more. You could have made contacts here. You could have met people who you could pitch your business to and all that. And I also picked that part about what did you call that? Is it your personal pitch, or what did you call that? Like
your elevator pitch.
Yes.
And everyone should have an elevator pitch, a short one and a long one.
Yes, and I intend to do that really, because I just realized I don't think everything I have there's nothing deliberate. What you said in line, it should be something deliberate that you must have had written down and gotten used to over time, and always have it at the tip of your finger to drop, because you never can tell when opportunities may come up. That's not when you'll be getting ruffled and not being able to.
By the time the opportunity comes, it's already late if you haven't learned it.
Yes, and I really appreciate the webinar. I gained all those points from it, and I just want to say thank you for inviting, or rather, for putting this up. And I thank God I saw you up on your page, or I came across the post this morning on your page and decided to register. Thank you, and have a
Thank
good
you.
day. And
Thank you. You too. Thank you, everyone. Any more comment before we go? Anyekan has been raising his hand, but he hasn't said anything. Should I assume that he stepped away from his? Okay, I'll leave it to Gift to close us. And thank you to everyone for coming. So Gift, your turn. Oh, Anyekan is now on. Anyekan is now on. Okay, let him unmute his microphone and ask his question. His hand has been up. Okay, Gift, go ahead. I think.
Okay. Thank you once again for agreeing to do this and for sharing very valuable insights. I learned a lot. I've heard them before, but thank you for refreshing my memory. Present or die, own my success, I have mentors, but I think there are some things missing in my relationship with some of my mentors. Thank you very much. And if I'm going away with something, is the point that for every time I abuse my privilege as a woman, I'm blocking the way for other women. Thank you very much for that point. I'm also saying thank you to everyone for being with us thus far. And I'm sure you guys, like myself, have been satisfied and super inspired to further challenge and keep making impacts in the marketing space and beyond. So thank you, guys. That said, I think the last one, roughly 30 minutes, have been time very well spent, if you guys will agree. But sadly, it still holds that every good thing has to come to an end. Thank you again for signing up and agreeing to spend your International Women's Day afternoon with us. We promise we'll keep you updated on when next we'll have another grand meeting like this. That's it. We'll say goodbye for now.
I was going to say, sorry, Gift. Sorry to cut you. Hold on, everyone. Can we all put on our video and do the raise our hands to choose to challenge so that we can take a screenshot? Everyone, put on your video, please. Let's raise our hands to the choose to challenge. Everyone, put on your video, please. Let's raise our hands to this choose to challenge. Put on your video. Put on your video. We are still waiting for everyone. Akinola Queen, Otik Bello, Alamiju, Manuel Philip. Yes, please put on your video. So Gift, go ahead and do the screenshots, please.
Nkechi.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much.